In this video, I'm going to go ahead and demo this simple but powerful AI support bot that I created. In a lot of different videos, I kind of see people where they create a chatbot that's really able to interact with a document and you're able to ask questions about the document. And that's pretty cool, but I actually wanted to build a chatbot that had a little bit more scalability to it. So what makes this chatbot more interesting is really two things. Number one, it's able to reference a database of existing customers. And number two, it has chat memory with specific users, which basically means that 100 users could all be having a conversation with this chatbot. And this bot is able to actually have individual memory stored for each one of those conversations. So it's able to provide a lot more context for the user, and it's just able to better serve that end user. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Okay, so for the sake of this example, we're going to pretend that we're an e-commerce company. And as you see here, I created just a fake order database here. So we have order ID, email address, name, order amount, and order status. So for the purpose of this example, we're just going to pretend that we're John. All right, so I'm just going to highlight this row here, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this order ID. I'm going to jump back into N8N, and we are going to start chatting with our bot. All right, so we're going to say, I need help with an order. I'm going to go ahead and send it, and I'm going to execute the workflow. All right, and it says, could you please provide your order ID? So I'm going to go ahead and paste in that order ID. I'm going to send it. Perfect. So it says, hello, John. How can I assist you with your order? All right, so if we jump back here to the database, right, first let's ask it some questions about our order. All right, so I'm going to say, what was my order total? And I'm going to execute the workflow. All right, so it says your order total was 5713. And if we look here in the database, all right, that's actually correct. Maybe let's ask it, what email do we have on file? Okay, and it says the email address we have on file is john42@example.com, which again, we go back to our database, we see that it is accurate. All right, perfect. Okay, so far we see that we're able to reference information from the database. So what about our ecom policy? Now, as you see here, I had ChatGPT just kind of create this fake e-commerce policy. So let's go ahead and just ask it about the return window. So I'm asking it, how long do I have to return an item? All right, and it says you have 30 days from the delivery date to return eligible items. Okay, so we see so far that number one, we can reference the database. Number two, it can also reference a document. These are pretty simple things, right? Now, what you're probably wondering is, okay, how is the memory working? So I talked about this tool in my prior video where I talked about setting up AI agent memory. And as you see here, this here is basically the full context for the conversation that we're having. Again, I'm the customer, I'm pretending to be John. Now you might be wondering, okay, what exactly is this right here? And basically what that is, it's my Telegram chat ID that I'm using for this test bot. You see, in order to have memory for a specific user, what you want to do is that whenever you're setting up your memory here, what you want to do is that for the key, you want to put in some type of unique item or unique session ID or chat ID, something that's coming from the user that's unique just to that user. And you basically want to use that for the key, right? And obviously in N8N style, all you're going to do is you're just going to click on the item and you're just going to drag it in here. Now, one thing you're going to notice, I do have in here toString. And the reason being is because in the case where I'm using upstash memory, in order for this to come here, it can't be sent as a number, it has to be sent as a string. So I just have this modifier placed in here. If you ever run into issues with it, you can just prompt ChatGPT when you get the error and send it in. It'll basically tell you how to format this correctly. But again, if you want to build an AI chatbot that has the ability to give every single user that interacts with it their own session memory so that the AI has a lot more context when they're talking to the user, this here's the way to do it. Now, these two I also covered in a prior video, but basically session time to live is essentially how long this is going to live for. So currently this is set to 30 minutes. And the context window length is basically how far back the AI needs to refer to when it's talking to the user. So as you see here, the length that we've gotten so far just in these couple of messages are 10, right? So in a production example, I would definitely increase this a lot more because understand that whenever the AI sends a message and then the user sends a message, each one of those count as one. So that's exactly why if you see here, we're already at 10 already. So what happens when the user has a question and our AI agent cannot find the answer to that question in the database, nor is it in the policy? Well, let's see what happens. So I'm going to ask it, when will SKU 456 be in stock? And that information is not in the database, nor is it in the ecom policy. So let's see what happens. All right, so as you see here, it says, John, I do not have access to stock information at the moment. I reached out to our internal team for assistance. And if we jump over here to Discord, you can see that it says customer John with order ID and has an order ID and their email asks about the restock date for this SKU. So in this example, I just happen to be using Discord because their webhook is super easy to use. But keep in mind that when you're working with something like this, instead of Telegram, it can be WhatsApp, it can be SMS, it can be email, it doesn't matter. I'm just using Telegram for the sake of example. And the same thing, your level 2 support can be an email that your AI sends to you when it's not able to answer a specific user's question. In this one AI agent node here, we have the ability to reference session memory for each user. We can talk to a policy document. we can reference items from a database, and we can forward any questions that the AI does not know to a level 2 support personnel that can then follow up the user and give them assistance. When you're using tools like this, you definitely want to make sure that you don't just rely on the tool description to be set automatically. You definitely want to make sure that you come in here and you give it a specific tool description. It took me a longer time than it should have been to set up this simple bot. And one of the reasons why is because the LLM didn't have a lot of context as to why it should call this specific tool or really what's in it. But the moment that I came in here and I set them from automatic to manual and I wrote this in, the bot worked fine. So as you see here for the e-com policy, I said call this tool to get our e-commerce store policy. And same thing here for the database, right? So I'm using simple Google Sheets. So I'm saying call this tool to get back the row of data you need to provide personalized information to help the user. And I also gave it what the response would include. So the response will include the user's name, their email address, order total, and shipping status. Now, when you're building a bot like this where you're referencing a database, what you do not want to do is you don't want to build it to where it's just going to go look at the entire database and you're just counting on the bot to just scan through everything and find it. Because imagine you have 10,000 or 20,000 people in that database. So instead, what you want to do is that you want your bot to be able to filter, right? So you want to be able to give it some type of unique identifier. In this case, it's the order ID. And you want the bot to be able to dynamically insert the order ID there so it pulls back just that row of data. That way it's able to work with it. All right, and as you see here in the description for this, I put insert the user's ID here to return back the row of information you need to help the user. And as far as the Discord level 2 support, I'm using the Discord webhook and I'm saying call this tool when the user asks you a question you do not know the answer to, which will contact our level 2 support team. And as you see here in the message, I'm basically saying send a message to our internal team requesting help. Ensure to include the order number, the customer's first name and email address, and their question. All right, so again, very important when you're setting these up with tools, you want to be very specific about what each tool does. That way the LLM has as much context as possible to help the user. Anyway, that's it. Straightforward and simple video, but I hope that gave you some value. Do make sure to check out the N8N templates that I've made in the description below. And by the way, thank you for 100 subscribers. This channel started completely out of passion just for technology and everything happening with artificial intelligence. And it's super cool that nowadays we actually have tools like this that allow people to actually build projects and things that they've always imagined. So as I continue to publish content on this channel, I'm not just going to talk about N8N automations, but I actually want to lean more into actually digital product development using artificial intelligence. So that is coming soon. With that being said, thank you for checking out the video and I hope to see you in the next one.